Good evening and welcome to episode 31 of About the Cards live tonight on YouTube. As always, I have my host with me, Stefan Loeffler at Junkwax Twins. We also have Ben Wilson at our trading cards. I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday here on YouTube at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. If you subscribe, you'll get a little notification when we pop on. And if you subscribe on the other two, you'll get a little notification once the new podcast is loaded. And I just want to let you know real quick, we have a great show tonight. It's really exciting. We're going to have an awesome interview coming up. But we break news here. And I don't know if you saw this. Card by the Icons shouted this out today or yesterday and put out a blog post. Saturday, Ben and I were at a card show locally here. We found out the San Francisco TriStar show in April, a huge show, actually got canceled. Well, postponed is what they said. So that just happened. We were talking with some dealer friends at the show, found that information out. We're a little sad. But guys, we normally have a little banter back and forth, but we're going to get right into it today. We have a special guest, Tanner Jones, author and recovering Canseco super collector. He's with us tonight. He's got a new book, Confessions of a Baseball Card Addict, the story of a man who acquired 10 million cards and managed to stay married. Boom, I'm a couple chapters in already. You can find him at TanMan BB Fan on Twitter or TanManBaseballFan.com and CansecoCollector.com. Welcome, Tanner. How are you, bud?
I'm great. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. So I've gotten into the book a little bit, and I don't want to give really any spoilers. I'm a few chapters in, and the first thing I love is the little trivia at the beginning of each chapter, which I thought was really cool. It was like the 91 set, the 91 top set. There were so many made. If you laid them end to end, they would go around the world 7 times, which to me is, I think there's more of that, but like that's a crazy amount if you think about it. But I think we're pretty close in age in the book. And you talked about you moved from California to Kansas. And what year was that?
That was 1992.
92. Okay, so I moved from Kansas to California in 1990. I was telling the guys last week on the show, I believe that we might have been traded for each other state to state. And they were saying that Kansas won and California lost when I came out. But I thought that was funny. It really, all this stuff when I'm reading the book, it's like, this is me. I could relate to quite a few things. So my first question is, without spoiling your book any, how did you become the preeminent Jose Canseco collector?
Well, my obsession for super collecting Canseco was not really just about Canseco. It was also about cards as well. So it was like a perfect intersection for me from Jose Canseco and cardboard. I was a big fan of his, like every kid, back in the late 80s and early 90s of Canseco, because he was larger than life. I mean, he really transcended the sport. And, his swing was just so violent and everything that he did was so captivating. So it stemmed from there. And whenever I became an adult and was back into the hobby, it just seemed to fit and just make sense to go back to collecting him.
Yeah, well, outstanding. So I'm going to let Ben's got some questions here for you. So I'm going to let him roll. Benjamin, it's all you. You have the floor, bud.
Hey, Tanner. So first off, we labeled Tim last week as the Milt Pappas of the trade, just so you're aware of, your level versus his level. And I'll stand by that forever. So is it congratulations in order? Is Miss Holly expecting? Did I see and hear that correct?
That's correct. And we just found out a couple days ago it's going to be a boy. So we're really excited.
So are we going to name it Jose or are we going to name it Ozzy?
Absolutely not.
No. So more importantly, now your oldest son, your only son to this point, Atticus, is 16.
Yes.
Why? I mean, I thought I was doing bad when I had, I've got a 15 and a 4-year-old now, a 1-year-old. That's you were like right there on the precipice of out the door, young man. And now you started back at square one.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine life without Atticus right now. It's he's so fun, and it's just such a great age. I know there's a lot of tension between parents and teenagers, but we love that kid to death. And so, having a potential another Atticus that's great. It just makes sense. So So yeah, we didn't really necessarily, we weren't ready to, push him out the door just yet or anything, but because we had him really young. We were like 21, I believe. That wasn't part of my 5-year plan, by the way. My plan was we're going to get married and then we're going to wait 5 years. That didn't happen. We got pregnant like 2 months after or something, and it freaked me out and everything. And here I am freaked out as a 38-year-old, having another kid here again. So that's how it works.
You're a man of faith, and I am as well. And it's the old saying, right? You want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Right. So your 5-year plan, you're like, here it is, God, this is what's going to happen. And he's like, oh boy, do I have one for you guys.
Yeah.
But no, so you get out of the Conseco hobby portion, and it's like a smoker. You stop smoking, and now all of a sudden you're addicted to gum. So you get out of Conseco and you decide, you know what? Let's have a kid.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it just seems like, of course, it wasn't part of my plan here either. So, man makes plans and God laughs, just like you said. And, hey, let's have a kid and watch a whole lot of episodes of The Office. I mean, that's what you do with your time after collecting, right?
I mean, how are we not best friends? I mean, every time I see a meme that I'll tag you in it on Facebook, because I mean, there's our sense of humor is right in line. And almost any time I respond to anything you have, it's probably Office related, because I know you're going to get it. And I try to keep it clean, of course, in all due respect to you and all your friends and family, but you can never go wrong with a well-placed Michael Scott meme or GIF,
Absolutely.
So as an author myself, somebody who's unpublished and has written a book and is waiting to be edited, what motivated you to write this book?
Well, I have wanted to write a book forever. I mean, that was just like a bucket list thing. And I've written a book about business in the past. It was never published. It was just really kind of a glorified marketing piece for my clients to send out, but it wasn't really a passion of mine. Baseball cards and collecting is just an extreme passion. So I knew that I had to write something about baseball cards. And it's kind of funny because whenever I tell people that I wrote a book, I'm kind of excited to tell people I'm an author. I wrote a book.
Right.
But then when they ask what it's about, it's about baseball cards. And they go, oh, that's cool, I guess. And I'm like, yeah, there's probably 2 people out there that want to read it, ha ha ha, and all that. And one of them's my mom, other's my wife, and even her, she probably didn't really want to read it either, but it's something that in order to write a book, I think you have to be hyper passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And that describes me to a T when it comes to cardboard. I mean, I just love it. I love the hobby. I love the community. And I love everything in between, almost.
Well, what's funny is, we spend a lot of time in a lot of the same Facebook groups, and to see you get tagged time and time and time again, and it was almost a game people were playing. We have to be the first one on a Conseco card to tag you.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic, and I know you ate that up because not only are you getting first crack at this stuff, but people recognize you in the hobby, and not just 5-10 people. We're talking thousands of people knew you or know you as the Conseco collector. They might not know your first name, but they know what you collect, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I missed that tagging also. When I said I retired from super collecting, it just that was it. And now I'm actually kind of coming back in, not to super collect, but to pick up some cards I really love. And I would love some more tags. It's been a blast. It's enjoyable for me to actually see that people care enough, to actually tag me. I mean, that's probably the thing that I like the most.
No, it's fun. We have a great Twitter group of friends and family that we like to say in the hobby that, we all circle these cards back and forth because, I mean, we don't own any cards. We're just caretakers.
Right.
We all have an expiration date. And for now, you're the one that holds a particular card. But at some point, it's going to probably end up with somebody else. And so circling back to the book, you kind of answered that you'd always planned on writing it. So how long did it take you from kind of start inception, I got this idea, to where we're at now, where we actually can sit down and read it?
So, I actually started writing about 3.5 years ago, and it probably started, if I remember correctly, a little bit before I went to Conseco's house. I didn't really know what the ending was going to be. You know what I mean? Like the last chapter had changed so many times, like from month to month, it seemed like. I thought, okay, I'm I'm going to make my visit at Canseco's house the last chapter. I said, no, it doesn't feel right. Well, I was going to pick up this other massive collection for $75,000. That's going to be the end. Nah, I'm going to sell out. That's going to be the end. Nope. After I sell out and, decide that, come to find out that I make a profit off of everything, and I was able to keep cards for free afterwards and tell others how to do it themselves.
Sure.
That's the ending. And so that's kind of where I ended up with it. That's
fantastic. What's funny is writing my novel, which is a fiction piece, a kind of a, my story wrapped up into a bunch of words that, have a fictional character attached. I actually was about 30% in when I found the ending, and I tweaked it a little bit when I actually got there. So it's kind of fun to see how many times your ending changed versus my direction, where I knew how I was going to end it. It was like, kind of like a movie, right? You have the beginning, the middle, and the end. And the middle is really the cream, where you have to keep people involved and entertained. That was my problem, is I had the beginning and I had the end, and it's like, all right, so now I've got this gap of 31% to about 95% that I've got to fill. So that's definitely fun to kind of see your approach to writing that book, and of course the length of time too, because it's not easy to write a book.
Well, and some people have said, oh, Tanner's going to get rich off of this book, and there have been some people that have been very spiteful about it too. And I kind of sit back and laugh and thinking, I'm definitely not doing this for the money. We just don't have a big enough community to support something like this. Here I am in my robe and smoking my pipe and enjoying my millions of dollars off the book. No, it's not that at all. The only reason why I wrote this had nothing to do with the money. It was all about the passion.
No, absolutely. And that's what we appreciate about you as a part of the hobby is, we all kind of look to you for a certain niche. I collect nothing but A's cards, and really we kind of have 4 super collectors here, with the 3 of us all being more team oriented versus player oriented. And how you got connected with Canseco was definitely something we wanted to kind of find out. Why him? I collect Adrian Morel cards, and Tim's like, why him? He's a forgettable running back from the 1990s who had a couple of decent seasons, not a Hall of Fame type player at any point.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you collect for certain reasons, so we definitely appreciate the backstory. So Steph had a question for you.
So Tim mentioned that he has the book, and I think Ben said he has it on order, ready to go. He even has it ready.
Yeah.
No, and real quick, I want to say early on I read what one of your favorite cards was, and so I made sure I found one, and it's my bookmark while I read it. So
of course.
Sweet. Excellent.
So I was going to throw it to you and say, for somebody who doesn't yet have it, but although it is on my Amazon wish list, and for others who don't necessarily have it yet, what's your best sales pitch for why to pick it up?
I don't really know if I have a sales pitch. I just sure. I can tell people what it's about. It's about all the twists and turns of my journey in collecting. And I've got a boatload of them, from becoming a dealer, coming back to the hobby, being a custom card creator. I talk about all of my finds, my favorite finds and everything. And then in the end, it kind of switches from, from more about me, it shifts over to be more of a how-to super collect and how to sell out if you want to. So I guess that's kind of my sales pitch. I just don't really, I'm not really good at that part of it, I guess.
No, I mean, that's almost the perfect answer, because it's not that you're like an established writer, national sports writer or something that can sell millions of books and would have that, mahogany smell in their library.
Right.
But he wants it. He wants it and he needs it, and that's why you have to buy it.
The collectors like us, that, it makes sense why we'd want to read it.
Real quick, before we move on, one of our followers in the chat room, Jenny, had mentioned that you were even at one time included in titles on eBay, and we'd all seen them. It would say, here's a Jose Canseco, blah blah blah, Tanner ? And yes. How does that make you feel? As a collector?
Yeah. Well, I ate that stuff up. I loved it so much. And sometimes if I saw that, even if it was priced a little high, I almost felt kind of obligated to get it just as a thank you to them. I didn't do it every time, but sometimes I did. And that was, I love it. I'm so thankful and grateful when people remember me.
Well, you mentioned a little bit too about custom cards. So, You've made them in the past. Is it something you're going to continue to do and offer up?
Yeah, I still have people asking me about it, and a lot of it is, my favorite pieces to do are the obscure pieces. Jeter and Mantle and Ruth. I mean, I've done cut autographs of Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and all these guys before. My favorites are family members, relatives, pets. I love those, and so yeah, I'm definitely going to keep doing those, and also keep creating them for my collection. One of the things that was really neat that I was able to keep after I sold out my collection and made my profit and everything, I was able to keep almost like a closet full of game used and player worn material from Conseco. So
wow.
I'll be making cards for till the end of time here. So that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's the website again? Because you have it set up to where I could go on and buy the pieces to make them at home, or I can commission you to make it for me. I would just have to send you, say, a onesie of my son and a picture or something, and you'll put it together if I don't want to do the homework, so to speak.
Yeah. So the little invention that I came up with was called Custom Cuts, and it can be seen at customcutsonline.com.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been there. I've toyed with it. I was actually going to buy something for my wife this year for Christmas and have you put it together for us. So it's definitely on the horizon. I would definitely recommend anybody out there listening, go check it out and put it on your wish list and have Tanner put something together for you.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate that.
So in your opinion, like just talking about the hobby in general, what do you think the state of the hobby is currently?
I think it's crazy. I don't really know how else to put it. It's definitely not, as you can say, it's not your father's hobby. There are a lot of things that have changed in the past several years. Obviously, if you want to go back to the early 2000s, late 90s, the internet and eBay has changed everything. We all know that. We all know that's changed the game completely, like drastically. Going forward, case breakers have really changed the game a lot as well. So you'll have, if I remember correctly, in 2018, there have been more than one new release of cards every single week, which is absolutely insane. So I think that's one thing that's changed. Another thing that's changed is the manufactured rarity of cards. Rare cards just aren't rare anymore. So, and what I mean by that is the cards that are numbered out of 25, out of 10, out of 5, and even 1 of 1s, they're simply not rare anymore. There's a boatload of each one of them. So if you miss a Mike Trout out of 10 of tier 1, for instance, there's not really a whole lot to get upset about because there's going to be another one that comes out the next week for another maker.
Absolutely.
And the interesting thing about it is, and this is a strange phenomenon, I think, as well, that none of us growing up have ever noticed or have ever experienced, is because of the case breakers, those cards out of 10, they're going to flood the market like that, quick, and that's it. So within a couple months, you might have a product drained completely of all the low number Mike Trouts and might never see them again, or they might be flipped 5, 6, 7 times in the next 6 months. So it's really kind of a weird dynamic that we have here.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's something that we kind of just talk about, just the different changes, even the last 2 or 3 years, how dramatically different it is. What lies for you ahead in the hobby?
Mainly just probably keep doing what I'm doing. And what that means for me is I'll still be picking up collections to buy and sell and do some trading. I'll still be doing custom work whenever I have time. I've just been very busy recently, but I'll still be writing articles for all the forums and everything in my website. And also the thing I'll probably be most excited about is continuing to collect Conseco cards, but not the rainbows, not cards that I'm not interested in. I'm really only picking up the cards that I really love.
No, definitely. Yeah. And that's kind of where I've come to as well, as we're going to talk about this in a show in a few weeks, but I'm a huge George Brett collector. And I made it mid last year. I decided I'm only going to collect his playing day stuff as far as like base cards now. If like some kind of a relic or something comes out, maybe that's something I'll go and pick up, or one of the manufactured things that Topps releases in their series 1 or 2. I might pick that up, but it's not on my list anymore because he has like 3 or 4 times as many cards made since he retired 1994 than he ever did playing. Mm-hmm. And to me, it just doesn't have the same feel as when he was a player. And a lot of the images are almost identical. So definitely understand that. And the last question we have for you tonight is, what one card, if you could only own one, would it be?
Man, that's rough. When I had everything, my favorite card was probably like a 42-way tie. And, I will kind of add to that is just like almost every super collector is going to say, is their favorite card is the one that they're chasing that they don't yet have. Sure. So it's kind of doesn't really answer the question completely, but I'll give you a couple examples of what I have that I like. I've got a 2017 Leaf Q, and it is a Leaf card, which a lot of people are like, oh, that's crazy. Why is that one of your favorites? But the patch is just phenomenal. It's the Elephant Sleeve patch. I love that card so much. The others, I have fallen like deeply in love, head over heels for the 90s to 2000s parallels and inserts, like the Crusades, the Totally Certifieds, all those. I'm just such a big fan of those. And the newer cards, try as they may, they're never going to compete with those, in my opinion.
No, definitely.
If we can rephrase it just a bit, as somebody, I always talk about worth versus value. The card that you have that is worth the most isn't necessarily your favorite or your most valuable. My most valuable card is a 1986 Topps Eric Davis because it's the one that got me hooked on the hobby. And we can buy those all day long for, pennies, right? You can go spend $20 on Sport Lots and you'd have stacks of those coming in. So to rephrase it is the 89 Fleer, what is your most valuable card? The one you go, that's just the one that means so much to me because of the story attached and not necessarily the cool patch or, the numbering, etc.
So this is kind of the weird thing for me. When it comes to straight up pure nostalgia, not thinking about quantities that were made or anything, it's almost like a 42-way tie again. And I'll tell you why.
How about 33-way tie?
Say what?
33-way tie.
Yeah, I should have used that.
Jersey
okay,
number.
So yeah, rewind. It's like a 33-way tie. But I'll give you a couple examples. The 87 Topps Rookie Cup card. That was the first card that I had, and it's the most iconic Topps card that's ever been made. I have so many memories attached to that one. You go up to the 89 Fleer card because my book I talk about. I have so many memories attached to that just because of sending that off to Canseco wrapped in cellophane, and he signs over the cellophane and sends it back, and broke my little 9 or 10-year-old heart. The 90 Topps card, the one that I used in my Florida report that I got 119 on, when I was in elementary school. Every single card just back then just has stories, and they mean so much to me, and they're valuable to me almost equally across the board. Because again, it's not just because it's Jose Canseco. It's because it's baseball cards. I love 87 Topps, 88 Score, 86 Donruss, 89 Donruss, 90 Upper Deck. I love all of it the same.
Yeah, no, that's why we had you on, because like that's kind of where we are. I mean, I have tons and tons of 87 Topps. I can't get enough of it. My son was born, and I got an R from Hobby Lobby because his name's Robert, and I took 87 Topps and pasted on and then cut them out. And so it hangs in his room. And it's just one of those great things. Well, Tanner, we really appreciate you coming on tonight and spending 15, 20 minutes here with us. And make sure you guys go out and you follow him at TanmanBBFan on Twitter. Check out his sites. We'll send those out as well. Pick up his book. It's on Amazon. You get it pretty quick. It's a great read.
I will.
Yeah, it's a great read. And I'm trying to slowly read it because I don't want to consume it all at once. I want to be able to take it in and enjoy it. But I could sit down tonight and probably read the whole thing, but I don't want to. I want to sit and really enjoy the book because he really hits home with it. Tanner, thank you so much. We definitely appreciate it.
Real quick, Tim. Yeah. Tanner, if somebody wants an autographed copy of your book, how would they go about acquiring one of those?
Yeah, so that was actually kind of an amazing thing. I've got a lot of people asking for it. I don't know why people want me to scribble in my book, but I am more than happy to do it for them. They can send me $14.95 plus $3.95 shipping, PayPal to tanmanbaseballfan@gmail.com. And you can always email me there or shoot me a tweet or something. I'd be happy to hook you up there that way.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Tanner. Have a great one.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Outstanding, guys. Well, great interview with Tanner. We definitely appreciate him coming on tonight and spending some time with us. And again, go out and check out his book. And then we're not honks for anybody, like legit though. I was excited when I saw the book came out, and to know that maybe he was the player to be named later in the trade when California got me. Let's just say that. But guys, like, man, what a weekend we had. And I don't know if you saw, but we posted a LOL live on location, and the video stuck. I'm sorry, but the internet connection in the hotel was really bad. They wanted money for the Wi-Fi. I was spending it on baseball cards. So it is a little shaky, but it's a good video. Kind of goes through kind of what a show in ours looks like here. It was pretty busy for the day, but like we said, we broke some news. We found out about the San Francisco TriStar show, which disappointed me because it was really going to be the first year I was going to get to go down there. We're going to get to hopefully run into Cardboard Icons down there, Ben and I, and do that. But Ben and I picked up some great things over the weekend. One thing that we did pick up, some 87 rack packs. We're going to open these up here in a minute. But Steph had something he wanted to go over real quick. So, Steph,
sure,
the floor is yours.
Well, as they show off my birth year cards, I wanted to hit up a Twitter follow. I know I've recommended it in the past, but Mark Hoyle on the Twitter sent me a quick message out of the blue and said, "Hey, do you need any of the posters from 67?" So much like the packs that they're opening up, instead of gum, they came with a little poster insert. And he said, "Hey, do you have the Tony Oliva?" Of which I swore I did, but I didn't. And now it's in my binder next to the Rod Carew. And he wanted to say thanks to Mark for one, but two, check out his feed if you guys haven't. He seriously posts pretty much every day a really nice vintage collection. And he's always trying to help people out. I guess it wasn't Rod Carew, it was Killer.
Oh.
But
the former Royal.
Yeah, so
as we knew today, in 1975, he became a Royal, and that's where his career took off.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Mark's a great follow. Really, and he always has some interesting things. Like today, he posted it was a little statue, Jackie Robinson, that was made out of cardboard that they sold back in the day.
Jackie Jensen.
One, it was a tad looking creepy. But two, it made you realize like that's the technology and that's what they had then, and it was neat to see. And the fact that it still exists today is what blows my mind. And all the pieces were there; it was sharp.
I'm pulling it up, but it was Jackie.
Yeah,
Jensen.
please, because I was about to look. To piggyback on Stefan, I was gonna throw a shout out to two people. I've not yet completed a 1978 Topps set. I was about 207 cards shy of a complete set, low grade. And somebody that you guys all know named Big Shep 79 hooked me up with a huge stack, gave me, I believe, 86 cards I didn't have, which dropped my want list down to 121. And the reason I bring it up, is, Tim's a great dude. But Mark also had a list. He's like, send me your checklist. I don't know exactly how many he has, but he's going to send them my way. So, yeah, definitely give Mark Hoyle a follow. He's a great dude to interact with, and he loves older stuff. He and I have had plenty of conversations about Jimmy Fox and whether he's an A or a Red Sox, and which team he should be represented on when he inevitably gets his Topps Living card. So Mark Hoyle's a fantastic guy, even for a Red Sox fan. We'll throw that out there.
So it's kind of like the little Lincoln logs that you could connect. Except, it's a leg, the hips, the chest and torso, the, shoulder socket, arms, and then his headpiece. I guess the comparison I could come up with is one of those little airplane models you get at like Chuck E. Cheese or something like that.
Got it.
Where you put together a little airplane and just like toss it. Except
the fact that that's still
tossed this from 1957.
Oh, it was Jackie Jensen, not Jackie Robinson. I see.
So the fact that still exists in that type of condition, as brittle and fragile as that is remarkable.
What, all the pieces?
Years old?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh, look at that right there. Mark Harwood tweeted out. Did you see that retweet right at the top?
Yep.
Right there.
You see him having Dennis Eckersley as a Red Sox in his profile picture?
That's where he belongs.
Silly Mark. Come on.
He did say he'd be listening at 5 tomorrow morning. So
yeah, he's great to listen the next morning. I appreciate that, Mark. Good, thank you, bud, for everything that you do. So I've opened up my pack. Now, the reason I love these rack packs back in the day is one. I mean, I love pack searchers to pack search, but these glossy all stars on the top I thought were so cool. So I'm gonna go through this real quick and see if I have anybody. Don Baylor, Greg Walker, boom, George and Brett, baby. George Brett.
That's funny because Tim Hannity goes, "Which one do you want?" And I said,
Kirby.
"Why don't you take the one with Don Mattingly on the back?"
Kirby Puckett.
And they both had Don Mattingly.
Man, this is just awesome. Don Mattingly. All right, let's see. We got Dave Parker. I know this is exciting for you. There's Andres Galarraga, Brett Butler. Oh, man, back in the day, this was the card. Wally Joyner. Oh, the other George Brett card in the set. Boom, George Brett and Frank White. Right there, Matthew. Rudy Law. Let's see. Darryl Straubel, your all-star card. Now, see, this is an all-star card, Tops. Do it like this. I did like what you did an update this year because they weren't all the same photos from the day of the home run derby. So, Angel Salazar. Let's see. Come on, Kurt Steelwell, rookie. So yeah, so my hit in the pack was the George Brett. I'm gonna use the Kirby Puckett later to light my fire. But boom, both George Brett cards. Feels good.
All right, so I opened mine, thumbed through it. I didn't get anything super big. We got Keith Hernandez, All-Star, and then the glossy. Sorry, didn't have those in front of the screen. Did get an A's leaders, and then Bob Melvin, Oakland A's manager. Look at that, back in the Giants. Like I said, we both had a Don Mattingly on the back of the pack. And then I guess the big name really would probably be Jim Rice. And then Tim Wallach. I don't know the Tim Wallach super collector that's trying to get like every Tim Wallach card in circulation. I don't know if he's on Twitter. I know he's on Facebook.
Yeah, he is 29 collector. I have a big stack for him. Good guy there.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I get this one. Oh, I did get a Jose Uribe too. It's not the scorecard that's worth millions of dollars. It's the 87 tops. That was Fleer.
Yeah. Oh, James shouts
that's
out.
right. 1990 Fleer.
Yeah, Cal Daniels and Ruben Sear being on the hot list in the 87 tops. I remember that Pete Incaviglia as well.
Yeah.
Back in
did they have the up arrow or the down arrow?
In this area.
Well, the arrow has been erased. So, but that's fun, and I love old rack packs. So, as we're gonna get back into our show, guys, half hour in, and what a great interview with Tanner. Thank you, Ben, for setting that up. We're going to try to do an interview once a month or so. I think we have one. I know we have one for February. Might have another one before then. So if you guys have anybody you want for us to get on, let us know. Or if you want to be on, hit us up, because I know that somebody reached out to me about doing some 90s insert stuff, which is huge right now across all the sports. So we'll get into that. So the week that was last week's releases, we'll hop into that real quick. Topps Living, the week 44, January 9th through the 16th. They actually extended it a full another day because the site was being updated today, so we don't have numbers for George Springer, Will Myers, or Daniel Megden. So we will see. We also had 2018 Leaf Ultimate Draft, 2018 Panini Contenders Football Hobby came out, and 2019 18-19 Panini Dominion Basketball were released last week. We'll hop into hot off the presses this week's new releases. Topps Living, the 4-week 45 is going to go from today until the 23rd. We have card 133, Hall of Famer Frank Thomas, first baseman, Chicago White Sox. He's our fourth White Sox.
Frank Thomas.
What's up?
Not the 50s Frank Thomas.
No, the good Frank Thomas. Card 134, Trey Turner, shortstop of the Washington Nationals. He's our sixth National, former Padres prospect. And then card 135, Devin Travis, second baseman, Toronto Blue Jays, the fourth Blue Jay. So, guys, what do you think about this list this week?
I like the inclusion of Frank Thomas, but that photo.
Oh, it's horrible. One of our followers, Stephen Benzel, I believe is his last name. I apologize for not having that on the tip of my tongue, but he posted the picture. You can find him at Shank Weather. He posted the picture that they used, the image, and it's probably not the best image to have used to begin with, but he's just shiny and just the nose and the lip area.
Kind of
it looks more like some of the poorer side of the Topps gallery release from 2018. It's for such a skilled artist who's had some phenomenal artwork in this particular set.
Is it better
Frank
than the
Thomas,
Rizzo?
Yes, but barely.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good week because you have a retired player, Hall of Famer, you have a current up and coming star, and then a guy on an unrepresented team who I believe kind of has some life to him a little bit up there in Toronto. So it's a decent week. I'm waiting for the week where they release George Brett. Just don't let it be one of the next 2 weeks as I stockpile some cash for Series 1. So as we show off the other ones, Trey Turner and Devin Travis. So
yeah, no, it should be a solid week. I mean, we'll probably see the same thing. Frank Thomas will hit somewhere in the 45 to 48 range. Turner might have a chance to break 4. But odds are he'll probably hit high 3s, and Devin Travis will probably be in the mid 3s. Overall the group, probably hit 12 grand maybe.
Yeah. So there's the Royals still only have two flipping cards, Alex Gordon and Bo Jackson. They're the only team with 2 cards. There's 9 teams with 3 cards. There's 9 teams with 4. 3 teams have 5 cards. 4 teams have 6. There'll be math later. 2 teams have 7. The damn Dodgers have 8, and the Yankees have 9.
And testimony.
There are 37 rookies and 15 retired players so far. So let's in mid-February, let's let George Brett come out and play, and so I can buy 10 or 12 or 100, which would be nice. I'd be excited. But yeah, it's a little better week than a couple weeks ago. I think this isn't going to be a dead last week like about 2 weeks ago, and it was sketch, man.
Well, and Frank Thomas is not. I mean, he's retired. Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Yes, off. But that would be kind of cool to have variations if they did that with this. But he's also doing that men's testosterone commercial. So we've seen Frank Thomas a lot lately. So it's probably not going to help him sell any. But
yeah,
he's still relevant. His face is still on TV. It's not like some of the other people we've seen where they've kind of somebody like Ralph Kiner, who's kind of into oblivion, and that's still my favorite card of this entire set.
And I just want to make sure that we're all doing the hashtag block Jenny Miller as for her message here in the chat. So block Jenny Miller. So what's brewing next week's releases? It's a big list. So I hope you're ready. 2018-19 Panini Crown Royal Basketball. That's it. So it's a little quiet. It's been quiet last week, a little quiet this week. That's the real Crown Royal you want, Steph. Steph drinks this throughout the show. That's why he does such a good job.
Yep. You know it.
So, yeah, but we have a big infield chatter this week, our hobby talk section. So we're gonna hop right into that. And guys, if you have any, and gals, if you have any topics or anything you want to, please send them, because a lot of this stuff comes from you guys, and we definitely appreciate that and helps our show. So
sure.
A thing Ben and I kind of talked about over the weekend was forced trading and being in a position of it's a weird thing, but have you ever had someone on Twitter at a show or LCS like dig up a pile of cards for you to make a trade that you never asked for? So you go through, yeah. So I've been explaining the situation, but to kind of go, somebody goes through and they know I'm a Royals collector, right? And right now I'm taking all Royals, so I don't care what they are. But if I was only collecting specific ones or looking to only add specific ones, and you show up with a big 5,000 count box of 1990 Topps all Royals, and go, hey, I spent 4 hours yesterday organizing this for you, and I went out and over the last 6 months and bought all the 90s Topps I could find just for you, and I want $25 for you. You're kind of like, I'll give you $5, and it's kind of a forced thing. So, it forces you into being like the bad guy and saying no, or just being the sucker and making the deal. So, Ben, this kind of happened to you recently, right?
It did, and I'm not going to say with who it was because I don't know them. They kind of just followed me. I followed them back, and then they sent me a DM saying, "Hey, you're an A's collector. I've got some A's cards." And I asked, how many are we talking, and what era are we looking at? And I'm assuming it's a he. Basically, it said, late 80s, early 90s, right in the heart of the junk wax era. Wasn't sure of the amount, and I said, well, I'm probably not going to need a whole bunch from that era, if anything at all. And I probably don't have much to trade anymore. I've still got a few team lots that I'd love to get rid of, either via trade or sell. But outside of that, I've gotten rid of all of my backstock and stuff I just don't need. And he goes, well, I'm a set collector. Cool. Well, the only sets I've got are stuff I'm keeping. And I was trying to be nice and said, there's just really not a lot I've got. So if you're looking for a straight up trade, I'm probably not going to be the right partner. And he goes, okay, well, let me know what you have. And I thought that was it. And then I get another message, hey, I've got about 225 cards for you. And then I hadn't seen it yet. And he responded again, I would hate for a trade not to go through after I spent hours pulling these cards. And I said, I'm sorry. What would, hypothetically, what would you be looking for? If I could trade you team for team. And he's like, Red Sox. Well, the Red Sox are one of the teams I don't have. And that's fun. So it kind of made me feel guilty. Like, well, this guy did pull all these cards. But again, unless he was looking just to sell them to me at shipping cost, I'd give him, $5-6 just to shoot them my way. But it put me in a precarious situation because I don't really know this person. And I asked a few people, hey, have you ever encountered this person? And they're like, no, I've never heard of him. And our friend Brian, who I rode to the card show with, he had basically made a comment to me about people like that kind of scare him off because this guy's almost too eager. Mm-hmm. So, it puts a bad taste in your mouth. And that's why I don't really want to call them out, because it may be legitimate. And if they did pull those cards, great. I'm not in a position to trade with them, but I almost got a guilt trip, or I did get a guilt trip. And I don't know if anybody else, I'm sure other people have experienced that as well. But when you're doing it online with people you don't really know or haven't developed a rapport and a relationship with, it's different with you guys and Chris Torres and Mark Hoyle and so many other people that we can mention, Matthew. It's one of those scenarios where this is somebody that I don't know. And so it's not even like, hey, I'm going to send them to you. You send me something back when you find something you think I'll like.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time I met a guy at a card show here, and, he saw that I collected Brett, and he goes, hey, I have a bunch at home in my garage and all this stuff. And next time I'll have a show, we traded numbers. And a few months later when the show came up, he's like, hey, I have a big thing of Brett's for you. Bring them down. I was like, awesome. I'd love to take a look at them. And when we show up and we go through them, and I had probably a good 60% of them. And I said, well, what do you want for the whole lot? And he's like, well, I want $175. So, well, that's, more than I'm going to ever want to pay for the cards. I said, I only need part of them. And, I drove 2 hours to come to the show. And I said, well, you could have, I told him I told you I'd look at them. I didn't guarantee I was going to buy them. I mean, I ended up spending like $50 with them and took about half the cards. But at the time, it felt like a bad feeling. And honestly, I had those Brett cards sitting in a box for a long time. Now, I didn't even go through them because every time I looked at them, I wanted to vomit because it just had such a bad feeling about the transaction that happens. And, so I kind of stayed away from that. And the biggest thing is like, hey, yeah, I made a deal with someone recently, and they needed some some Panini Prism cards, and I'd opened like 3 packs, and I had like 7 of the cards I pulled are ones he needed. Plus, he was looking for some Indians autographs, and he had a stack of 93 Upper Deck inserts, and I'm trying to build all of those sets. And I was like, "You want to just do a deal?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so we just kind of that's the little trade we made, and I'd much rather do that stuff or have it where I'm going to ship you some stuff. I know Matthew has done this for me in the past. He sent me this big box of Royals. I'm sorting through 5,000 Royals now, and I'm going to go to him after I pull out what I need and what's your needs list. Let me hit my boxes for you. And he knows I'm going to send him a package real quick, though. It won't include this. I pulled this week out of a $65 box.
What's funny about that card, too, is as we were Tim and I we went in the show and then we went to the parking lot to leave, and then we got pulled back in, back and forth. And on his way out the final time, he ends up buying this box of archives. And I asked him, I said, why archives? It's kind of an older product, random. There's not a whole lot in there to get, and $65, you know, I mean, it's a good deal on the box. I was just curious why he chose that. And he goes, it gives me something to open. And then he pulls out, of all things, a Bo Jackson auto, not just any Hall of Fame type, you know, highly sought after auto, but a Royals.
But one of my favorite card designs of all time, as a kid, like an '87 Bo Jackson, you almost couldn't get any better than this in its autographs. Steph, have you ever encountered the forced trades?
Not on Twitter or online or anything. Usually someone comes to me. I've kind of tapered off my trading, kind of like Kin has. And we've talked about this in person. But I have seen it at shows where I show up and I'm digging through someone's box and a vendor comes over, seeing that I have on a Twins hoodie. Hey, I have this run of Vikings cards from like 77 and 97. You want them for $20? Well, I mean, I'm a Vikings collector, but no, not really. No offense. Well, but you're a Twins guy then.
The Twins aren't the Vikings, first and foremost.
Yeah, I hate the Chiefs with a passion.
Well, I run into that.
Byron Buxton auto number to 1. Like, okay.
I run into that all the time. People see that I'm a Spurs fan, and they're like, "Oh, I have all kinds of Spurs for you." And I'm like, I don't collect. I might pick them up if they're in the local card shops dollar box. I've bought some autos and relics. My wife Heather's asked me before. She's like, "Why would you buy that?" I'm like, "Dude, because it's $1 for a LaMarcus Aldridge relic." I'm not pursuing it. I'm just thumbing through there, and most of the time when I'm thumbing through there, I'm actually looking for something for Bentley, my 4-year-old, something that he can have in his binder, just a cheap dollar auto or relic. But Jenny brings up too that because she's a Sano super collector, people just assume that, hey, much like we had Tanner on, Tanner really would buy anything and everything that he didn't have. But he was also in a different financial bracket to be able to support his hobby in that manner. Jenny's a lower end, self-proclaimed lower end Sano. I'm sure if we've bought stuff at the card shop, Tim and I before for her and sent it her way. But we're not going to buy something for $50 that's a Sano and assume that she's going to buy it from us.
Yeah. The other thing too is when that, and I was reading through the chat here that sparked my mind, is that when you're like somebody posts something for trade or something, or you're interested in looking at making a deal, and you go, "Oh, who do you collect?" And they go, I collect Trout, Harper, rookies, Judge, Ohtani, Chris Bryant, Vladimir Guerrero, Ben Simmons. You're like, okay.
You're not really a collector at that point. You're a prospector.
Yeah.
And, it really goes back. I think we made this point a couple of weeks ago on one of our shows. Trade and buy from who you like. I will always offer to pay for shipping or go above and beyond in any way I can for anybody that I know within a trusted circle. But once you start to get out of that circle, like I did with this particular guy that sparked the topic, it gave me a feeling of unease. Our friend Brian, who had mentioned this to me in the van as we were driving to the show, and again here in the chat room, this guy probably assumed I would send first, and I couldn't verify anybody had ever done any. You ask 5 or 6 people, and nobody has done any type of trade or transaction whatsoever. And they're very eager. It's like, sorry, I'm not very eager to hop up and trade for 225 1990 cards.
Yeah.
I'll take them and I'll stick them out in a box in case, we've got the Oakland A's Fan Fest coming up in 2 weeks. It's a good time to pull out some of your Carney Lansards and Terry Steinbachs and stick them and hope that maybe you get a chance to meet one of the guys from that era.
Yeah.
But I'm not spending hobby money to acquire a bunch of stuff that I most likely already have.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, definitely. I kind of want to move this on, but it was just an interesting topic. So I think real quick, a little story I saw today was Ryan Fagan of the Sporting News posted his top 15 sets of the 80s and 90s, and we kind of covered this in the past few shows, our top 5 from around that era. I just wanted to go through the list really quick because it's like right on par with what we thought. So
as someone born in '87, I'm loving this list, but worst honors.
Yeah. So number, I'm going to just go 15-1 real quick, and then we're going to move on. But 15, 92 Ultra, 14, 87 Sportflix, then 88 Score, 91 Stadium Club. Number 11 was 96 Leaf Signature Series. 10 was 97 Bowman Chrome. Number 9, 80 Tops. Number 8, 87 Donruss. Number 7, 85 Tops. Number 6, 93 Finest. 5 was 93 SP. 492 Bowman, 390 Leaf, 2 was 87 Tops, and number 1 was, of course, 89 Upper Deck. It's a hard list to be really angry about. I think you could have maybe put another Donruss product here or there, but it's pretty well spread out over all the brands.
Flair Metal Universe.
Yeah, and yeah, but some of the better products. 92 Ultra was a neat product when it came out. It kind of has lost its luster now. The first year was kind of the 92 set really had a good look and some really cool inserts, but not a bad list. I'd go check it out. It's on the Sporting News site, and they also put it out on their Twitter feed today. So
yeah, and I think their main account retweeted it.
Yep.
One thing looking up and down that list is, of course, a list like this is going to be subjective, but we've touched on these. Our top sets, kind of piggybacking on Ryan Cracknell's piece with Beckett about the top sets or top cards and sets of the 80s. Is this one's probably a little bit more unbiased, more or less. These were all popular sets and all left their own respective mark for whatever reason. Like 85 Tops, for instance, was a great looking set, but at that time, it just had a slew of star players that went, 12, 15 people deep.
Well, even then, it had the USA cards, and some of those guys
had the USA cards.
But we didn't know who some of those guys were. They were prospect cards, to be honest.
McGuire, you had McReynolds, you had quite a few guys.
Corey Snyder, Shane Mack.
Shane Mack was there. Yeah, it was. It's a good set, and
You there? You good? You just kind of stopped.
I don't think he is. It apparently was not a good set.
Yes, maybe Ben. We're having some weather here in Sacramento, so maybe Ben's having some issues. But
I don't know if it's on my end or your end because you broke up a little bit. So
that was definitely you.
It could be on mine.
Yeah, I know. We're having some weather here in Sacramento. They said, hey, if you don't lose power by 9 o'clock, which is about 9 minutes, you'll probably have power the rest of the night. So I was like, yeah, all right, let's hope we can make it to the show, or it's just gonna be Steph. Once a Cub tweeted out last week when I think the bow was the one that kind of sparked this question, but was a good question for next week's podcast. What is the best thing you personally pulled for your PC? Not the best card you've pulled, not the best card you pulled and kept just because it was awesome, but the best PC pull. And so we shot this out to everybody, and I'll get to our answers here in a minute. But he said his best was a Starling Castro printing plate. NASCAR Radio Val is a big Chase Elliott fan. The first box of 2011 Elements Hobby box, he had a Chase Elliott auto out of 25, and he looks like he's about 7 years old in the photo. It's a very early auto of Chase Elliott. I'm not even sure he was old enough to drive a car, to be honest, legally, like in the picture. At Z_Lost_Dragon Zenny had an Albert Pujols playoff absolute memorabilia auto 1 of 1. Mark Hoyle shouted out it was a 69 Topps All-Star Yastrzemski or 71 Yastrzemski, which are cool because those are awesome cards. 71 is one of my favorite looking sets. Spy on Sports Card said Texas Tech Raider fan here. A couple years ago, I bought one of those clearance retail boxes or retail baseball mix packs, and guaranteed at least one hit. His hit in a baseball box. It was an autographed Joel Feeney, a football card. So a kid that played at Texas Tech, he pulled his autograph out of a baseball card box. At at Patrick Kieran, an 80 Topps All-Star dual auto relic of Charlie Blackmon and Trevor Story at a 15 out of 15. And one of our really good guys that seems to get, communicate with us quite a bit, Philly Puck fan, was an 85 O-Pee-Chee Pele Lindbergh. I haven't had much luck pulling PC cards out of packs. This wasn't worth much, but was the most sentimental and painful card in my PC. I pulled it out of an O-Pee-Chee pack in 85. It was destroyed in the 2011 flood. I haven't been able to bring myself to replace it. It still hurts. Now, this goalie was the goalie for the Flyers, and I think he won the Vezina. Is that how you say it? Trophy?
Vezina.
Vezina Trophy is the best goalie of the year before, and he died in a car wreck leaving the facility one day after they had a party and he'd been drinking, and he died right before the season started, I believe. So this card was like an homage to him. I would think the best PC card I pulled was that Bo Jackson for my Royals. The other one I would say for my Giants collection is I bought a pack of Bowman. I want to say it was Bowman Chrome a handful of years ago, and I pulled a die cut Buster Posey card out of auto out of 25. Out of like a $3 pack. I wasn't expecting it. It was one of those things like, hey, I'll take a pack of that. I had $3 cash left over after my purchase. Opened it up, and boom, there was a Posey autograph in there, and I pulled it. And I've never really seen another one like it. I was really excited. But Steph, have you ever pulled a great PC card for your collection?
Well, I pulled several Wayne Nordhagen cards, but again, his cards run from 77 to 83. Pretty common enough to pick up some, and they're not numbered or anything. Haven't pulled any for my Ryan Eats collection, high school connection. However, I have pulled a few Twins ones, and before I show off the major one, I bought a box of 16 Diamond Kings. It's kind of hard to tell because they kind of blur in together. But 16 Diamond Kings, and I pulled a number to 5 bordered parallel Joe Mauer base insert, which is kind of nice. But my top one is a printing plate of Denard Span from 2012 Topps.
Oh, former Giants great Denard Span.
Well, former Net too.
That's cool.
Nothing super special, but I said to, who was it that mentioned they pulled a printing plate? Once a Cub. That my answer might be similar to his, and different player, but same.
Yeah, I might try to pull a printing plate of anybody off one of my teams versus somebody for a team I could care less about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ben, have you ever pulled?
Well, anyone that knows me knows I don't really open packs anymore. I pulled a Panini Prism Cespedes auto out of just 2 or 3 packs that I had bought at a local card shop, but I just bought the auto like a week earlier. So I kept the one that I pulled. Out of that same card shop, there was a couple. I was with my daughter Savannah, and there were a couple of packs left, and I just bought like $10 worth, and she got the last pro debut from, I believe it was 2012. Pulled a 1/1 Matt Lipka, which I still have. He was a Braves prospect, and Chris, who owned the shop at the time, was like, "You want to sell it?" And she goes, "Yeah, for $1,000." he's like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen, kid." And she's like, "All right, $999." The coolest thing that I probably pulled there, Chris at that card shop had a jumbo relic of Mickey Mantle with a really nice New York Yankees patch on it, and he wanted $50 for it. I was like, I'm not spending $50, but I'd really like to have it. And I ended up going to a local card shop here in Elk Grove, California, and bought an 07 Upper Deck Masterpiece, and pulled a Tim Lincecum rookie auto out of it. So I drove over to the other card shop, and I said, "Hey, I will trade you this." And at the time it was probably, would retail at about $100. So he gave me the mantle. He gave me a Josh Donaldson Chrome auto, his rookie card, which I believe was from 2011, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple other, inexpensive A's autos. And to me that was cool because the way I looked at it was I bought the box to get the set, and I got a box loader of Cal Ripken in it. So there's that. Plus, the way I looked at it was I got the set plus the Mantle plus the Donaldson plus a couple other inexpensive autos. So I've never really pulled a whole bunch for my PC. So I would say that was probably, pulling that Ricky Henderson insert a couple weeks ago out of gallery out of one pack that I needed was also kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fun to do.
Since she's in the room, she didn't pull it herself, but she got the auto. Keep coming.
Really?
Come on.
Why?
We don't bite.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a man's only zone.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew at her first national picked this up for a few dollars and had Rod Cruz sign it with the Beastie Boys phrase, "Mad hits like," and then Rod Cruz signature right below it.
Well, that's awesome. Now he's the guy that the Angels great, correct?
Yeah,
he is. You're right.
California Angels great. Yeah, you might want to fix that hat, but
that's why he frequently makes appearances at the Angels, right? Oh, that's right, he doesn't.
I just love just on these old former Twins. Like, it's just so much fun.
But you don't bring up Chuck Knobloch.
Yeah, he was at the Royals great too. After we taught him how to throw the ball again.
Great. Okay.
Man, I used to trade Chuck Knobloch like crazy back in '91. I made a living off him, but I was trading for David Meade. So, what does that tell you? So with this, Ben came up with this great idea. So write it down. It was his first one.
It's a first.
It's a first. Real quick, did Jenny just said it was 3 degrees where she is? Good Lord, it was like 58 today, and people or 53 here today, and people are flipping out. God, if it hit 3 degrees here in California, like people would seriously they would just give up and die because they wouldn't know what to do. I would go outside in shorts and have a good old day. But anyway,
Jenny, for what it's worth, in my hometown, it is just a tad colder. Let's see. -7, wind chill -15.
A little warmer there. Real quick, Foul Ball 5 just put in the chat. My best pull was an 06 Bowman Chrome Draft, Kershaw Auto, and LCS in 06. I've been a Kershaw collector ever since. I'm sorry. I just hope you're not a Dodger fan. We'll let you stay if you're not. If you're just a Kershaw fan, that's okay. But you can't be a Dodger fan.
That's a pretty damn impressive pull. Let's be serious now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it kind of makes my Ricky Henderson insert from gallery. He pales in comparison, right?
Hey, I mean, yeah.
No, but yeah, for a PC pull to be also that extraordinary.
Yeah, I think Cardboard Icons has that with a Kershaw Auto, and I don't remember which one it is, but it was from a retail pack too, and that's how he started. Oh, he's a Dodger fan. I guess you can stay. It's okay, Bob. You can hang out. We appreciate you. So Ben had this great idea, and I don't know what to call it, so I called it Iconic Collection. But over the next 7 weeks leading up into spring training, because spring training is going to start here in a few weeks, we'll be revealing our most iconic card for each major league franchise. So each of the hosts here is going to take a division a week, and we're going to pick what we think is the most iconic card, and then the debate will ensue, and we'll just insult each other. So this week, Ben's going to take the AL West since his team is in there with the A's.
Next week, I've got the Royals and the other.
Steph's going to take the Central. I'm going to let him have the Central with the Royals and the Twins. I'm going to do the AL East. Then Ben's going to do that's week 30 or episode 33. Episode 34, Ben's going to do the NL East. In week 35, Steph's going to do the NL Central. Week 36, I'll do the NL West. And then week 37, we're going to go over the defunct franchises. We're each going to pick a couple. And what I mean by defunct is these are teams that move cities, but they changed the franchise name. So with the Seattle Pilots, who became the Brewers, the Browns that became the Orioles, the Senators that became the Twins, and then the Washington Senators that became the Rangers, and the Expos who became the Nationals. So we'll each have a couple of those teams, and we'll go back and forth on those. A lot of people forget the Baltimore Orioles weren't the Orioles for, and the Browns were around for a while.
53.
So
1901 to 53.
Yeah. Which if you think is kind of crazy,
But what
right?
about the California Angels, Los Angeles Angels?
There's still the Angels, though.
Well,
They
and
still play in the same dumpy stadium, but
by episode 37, they might have a new name anyway.
Yeah.
They might be,
Right.
the west of I-5, Los Angeles Angels of Los Angeles.
Ben, I have my better list right here.
Okay.
So let's have you lead off, and I put the teams in alphabetical order so you wouldn't lead off with your stupid A's. So
No,
we have the Astros, the Angels, the A's, the Mariners, and the Rangers.
Did you make it fill out asshat?
the idea behind this was if you could only have 30 cards in your collection and you had to have one for each team, and money wasn't an object because obviously the Yankees are going to have a very, very expensive card regardless of which one you go with.
We're talking base cards, not inserts or parallels or
Right.
autos or relics or any of that.
Sure.
Right. So, if money was not an object, what would you do, right? So the Houston Astros, I wasn't really sure. They didn't have necessarily a card like a 52 mantle, and I think we'll always kind of reference is the 52 mantle is that. What's the Astros? I even reached out to our friend Charles, who you can find at SWLV, standing for Southwest Las Vegas guy, who's our resident Astros collector, and he had offered a couple of different options. The one that I decided on was the 1989 Topps Craig Biggio. You probably go with the Leaf. Was it the 91 Leaf Bagwell? I consider the 65 Topps Joe Morgan rookie card, but the issue with Joe Morgan was I think he's wearing a Colts 45 hat.
Yep.
And he was a Cincinnati Red. I mean, was not an iconic member of that franchise like Biggio was. Charles did offer the 88 score Biggio or the 1980 Nolan Ryan Topps, which would have been Nolan Ryan's first Astros card. So that's coming from an Astros collector. To me, the 89 Biggio would be the one that I would probably associate with the team the best.
Okay. So the one I picked was the 91 Stadium Club Bagwell.
Sure.
Yes, and it's one of those ones where there's probably a little bit of play in which one's the best or the most iconic. The reason I chose Biggio is just because he came along first. And at least for me, I was collecting more in 89 than I was by 91. So, and what have they had since? I mean, obviously now with Altuve and Correa, and they've got monster players, Bregman and whatnot, but I don't know if they supersede the killer bees of yesteryear.
So I went same team, opposite player, Rhino.
Yeah, see that the 89 Topps is an iconic set in and of itself for late 80s, early 90s collectors. It was, very popular. Moving on to the Seattle Mariners, obviously the big boy is the 89 Upper Deck. I don't know. That was one of the reasons it kind of sparked the idea that I had to begin with, which is you have the 89 Upper Deck. Well, what's the Astros version of that? What's the Rays and the Brewers version of that? I did ask our friend Chris Torres if we set that card aside, what would number 2 be? And his response is, it's tough, but if he had to pick, he would say the 2001 Bowman Chrome Ichiro would follow. But see, it's such a distant second. I was just kind of curious from a Mariners perspective, what would be the card besides that?
Yeah, I don't think there's for me, this was the Mariners card. Maybe because Alex Rodriguez wasn't in Topps until like 98, so he missed out there a little bit. Yeah, either that or the 2001 Topps Ichiro.
That's what mine was, yeah.
Well, or, and Randy Johnson, all of his rookie cards were with the Expos. I mean, he had the 89 Topps traded, but it's such a far distance between anything else,
right,
in that one particular card.
Well, see, if you were just talking Randy Johnson's most iconic card, the 89 Topps base as an Expo will probably be in the running for the Expos card, where the 89 traded won't come close.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Angels, the 2011 Topps Update Trout.
Yeah, enough said, right?
I mean, it's the 80. It really is there were some that were super easy. Mariners were easy for me. The Angels were easy for me. For me, the Yankees would be easy. For me, the Giants would be easy.
I'm
Probably
thinking about this instead of the AL East that I'm going to just piss people off with the one for the Yankees that I pick, but I'm going to pick probably John Wetland card.
What a scumbag.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the Angels are another...
pulls up a 90 and Donruss 81 Rod Carew, where it looks like he's a character from a TV show.
It's a great profile shot. I love it. I'm sorry.
He looks like Benson.
He does. Or, you know what? Real quick, though, this could have been... I'm going to take Steph off here for a sec. Sorry, Steph. That crew. This right here, as I collect Etro, said Wally Joyner, this might have been, again, one of the top Wally Joyner cards, one of the top Angels cards in the 80s you could have picked up. This and some of his 86 cards, but like this Joyner was hot. This was an awesome card back in the day, man. Wally World, in 86, he had 22 home runs, 100 ribbies, he hit 290, and he was left-handed playing in the LA. What happened, Wally? That's what I want to know, because he came to the Royals and he was never really the same after like 88 or 89. Anyway, sorry.
The A's really had 4 to choose from, and you really can't go wrong with any of the 4. Ultimately, I decided that the 80 Topps Ricky Henderson would probably be my most iconic A's representation, with honorable mentions to the 69 Jackson, the 86 traded Canseco, and the 87 McGuire would all had serious consideration. But at the end of the day, I think the Ricky Henderson is probably, if you're looking across the board, not just in a local market, the Henderson probably defines the A's better than the other 3.
No, definitely. I had the 69 Reggie Jackson rookie. So
yeah, see, and you couldn't. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah,
the only reason the Henderson's going to be a little less expensive. So if we were doing it with no budget, the Jackson obviously would trump the Henderson for some people. But if you were really trying to put together iconic cards, the Henderson would definitely be more affordable.
Yeah, and also I would say the 86 Donruss Canseco too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was the retirement card at the time.
Well, even Tanner earlier on the show had mentioned that the 87 Rookie Cup Canseco is, and that's a good looking card with him in the dugout. It's a fun card. So I think, Tim, you'd given me a whole page of those, like 11 or 12 of them a while back.
Yeah, I was at the LCS, and he had 2 full pages, and they were front and back in 2 pages. And he was going to throw them in the garbage, and I was like, "Oh, I got a friend that'll take those." And I snagged a few and sent some your way. So,
and then lastly, the Texas Rangers, much like the Astros, are really tough. I reached out to a couple of people that I knew that were Rangers collectors, and I did not hear back, just to kind of get their insight. I settled on the 1990 Donruss Nolan Ryan, the 5,000 Ks card. Our friend Jeff over at Gypsy Oak mentioned the 89 Upper Deck, where Nolan Ryan is throwing a football, which just kind of speaks to the uniqueness of that overall. That's the Topps one. There's a Donruss one too.
Yeah, this is the Upper Deck, and I actually picked this up today at the LCS for a quarter.
That's funny. Yeah, Jeff at Gypsy Oak says that's the most iconic in his mind.
Yeah,
you can kind of lump all those together. There's really not a right or wrong answer. Any Nolan Ryan card from 89 through 94 would be one. I opened up so much 90 Donruss, and we all had 10,000 of them sitting in our garage at one point, that it just kind of seemed it should be Donruss instead of Topps or Upper Deck. But the Rangers, to this day, correct me if I'm wrong, they just don't have a marquee card that, if you put any of those Nolan Ryan cards in a binder or up on a wall with the other 29, and you've got the 80 Ricky Henderson and the 11 Mike Trout and the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, and all the rest we'll go over the upcoming weeks, the Rangers one is going to stick out like a sore thumb. And I'm sure that's not going to be the only team.
Yeah, no, I think the Rays, like somebody said to us, like the good luck doing the Rays and the Rockies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to kind of be hard to do.
Diamondbacks, yeah. There's probably going to be about 8 to 12 teams that are really going to be. I mean, look at this. The AL West had both the Astros and the Rangers. The other 3 teams, the Mariners and Angels, to me were obvious. The A's had 4 obvious choices to choose from. The Astros and Rangers did not have even one for strong consideration. So you're kind of grasping at straws. And that's kind of what was fun about this, was showing the discrepancy of, if you're a Yankees super collector, there's just no way you'll have every Yankees card unless you have an unlimited budget. But if you're an Astros or a Rangers fan, the iconic cards, it's probably going to be a lot more affordable.
Yeah, no.
I've got 2 suggestions: Ruben Sierra and
you good old
and the 72 Ted
Teddy
Williams
Ball Game.
I just picked one of those up this week at the card show for my set. And the funny thing is that this is because wasn't this a Senators hat, and that's why it's all airbrushed out.
Yep, it is. That's the year they swapped over.
Yep. So good old. I loved how, like, I was reading about the defunct franchises and why they moved, and it was like, oh, the Washington Senators moved in 1960 and became the Twins because of lack of interest. But in 1961, we gave them the Washington Senators again.
Yeah, don't ask him about. Don't ask their now deceased owner about why they traded. That's a story for another day. But lack of interest, we'll go with that.
Yeah. Is that good old Mr. Griffith?
Yes, it is.
I've done a lot of reporting. I actually did it when I was in college. They were talking about contraction in MLB, and I was in a speech class, and I had to do something about that, and that was my topic I picked. I did a lot of research on the Twins being contracted, to be honest, and I wasn't for them being contracted, because Bud Selig once said when the Seattle Pilots the Milwaukee Braves moved to Atlanta, how he felt how his heart was stolen and all of this stuff. And I said, so, my whole thing was he wanted to do that to the city of Minnesota. And there was another team they were talking about. So,
Montreal.
Yeah. And so anyway, guys, well, outstanding show as always. It was great to have Tanner on.
Absolutely.
If you have anybody, or anybody that'd like to be on the show, let us know. Hit us up. If you have anything you want us to talk about, again, send it our way. We appreciate it. If you're going out to a show, share that with us. That would be great. Remember, we're live every Wednesday here at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. You always follow us about the cards. You can follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. You can follow Stefan at Junkwax Twins. You can always follow me at Big Shep 79. And today is the 1-year anniversary of BigShepsCards.com.
Hey.
Yeah. So I will be getting that more up to date as I'm finally cleaning up and here. And I have a bunch of checklist to update on the site and some more to add, which is going to be awesome. I'm going to hopefully be able to do that over the long holiday weekend. And but share your stories with us, guys. Do you have anything before we leave tonight?
No, not really. I might do a on the show floor video, not necessarily an interview per se. And I might have some news next week. We'll see.
Uh-oh.
Very cool.
Spoiler.
Hey, this is where we break news.
We do. We don't fix it. We just break it.
That's right. Yeah.
Dan Patrick said we break news, so you don't have to.
No, we really want to thank Tanner for his time, being gracious to come on and talk about his book and the hobby and share a few personal stories. And once again, congratulations to he and Miss Holly, his wife, and Atticus being a big brother coming soon. That's got to be a very exciting time for their family. And and so, yeah, it's kind of fun getting a super collector on here to kind of tell his story, some of which he's written down in a book for us to all read and enjoy. And so definitely pick that up. And if you're into custom cards, check out his customcutsonline.com. And he's a great follow. He's a funny guy, goofy guy. He's such a fun part of the hobby, and he's very gracious with his time.
He also did a Beckett interview, I want to say in like March, April. No, it was actually, I think, like either February or March of last year when he talked about his super collecting with Eric on the Fat Packs podcast. That was really good. I remember listening to that, and to actually have him on the show, man, it feels real good, you know. Like, and by the way, shout out to we had a ton of new followers this week, but somebody in particular was looking for people to follow, and I want to give him a shout out tonight. I saw you followed us on YouTube, but there was a bunch of shout outs about who to follow in the hobby. It was Eric D. Lucier on Twitter. He was looking for everybody to follow. He ended up tagging us. Tops ended up tagging us and sending out. And it's just a really good collection of people to be mentioned with in the hobby. So I appreciate all of you for letting him know, listen, check out our podcast. We appreciate that. And it was pretty awesome. I mean, you know, we do this just for fun. There we go. His page is up there. But he's looking to get into like 19 products and get back into collecting and like what to do and successes and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think we're a good podcast for that. And we're also going to, again, I promise you, our dime box segments will be coming up. And the first one's going to be collecting 101. And we'll be working on that and have that in the next, I would say like 10 days. We'll be out before the end of the month. I guarantee it. But again, if you guys share your story, share your hits, let us know what's going on out there. And we appreciate you all, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, let's do that.
All right, guys, have a good one.
You too.
See you.